Hi guys, it's Kelly here and I'm back with another video for Trinity stamps. Today we are going to be making some silhouette cards, and basically we're going to be letting our ink blending and our dyes do all of the work. So I used Leprechaun Loot, I used the Springtime Gnomes, the Embossed Edge Hills and Slopes, the Pumpkin Bucket. I did cut the A2 tree frame, but I didn't end up using it. The Full Moon Dies and Stencils, the Sugar and Scream add-on. This is the pumpkin card, and then the You Do Not Scare Me. And then there's some other ones that I will kind of mention along the way. So I know not Halloween isn't everybody's thing, and I totally get that. And I just enjoy making the cards. Honestly, I really don't know what I'm gonna do with them when they're done. But I think that this is a really fun way to look at our dies a little bit differently, and get kind of more use out of them. So here I basically picked out from the different dies that I had several different kinds of eyes, so that I could make like kind of like spooky eyes. But Trinity actually has a die set like this. It's called Eerie Eyes. I will link it below, and it has all kinds of really great ones that still have like the pupils cut out in them. Mine don't, except for the one that is like the grouping of eyeballs, and that's because they are actual eyeballs. Some of these other elements are not actual eyeballs. I just made them to look that way. So then once I have them arranged how I'm happy with, I'm going to go ahead and tape these into place. All of these are going to basically be black and ink blending. That's pretty much what we're doing. And I'll be interested to see as we go on if this is something you're interested in or not. So here is this A2. I kind of thought maybe like I could do like the trees and then, something kind of down in the middle. And it just didn't work out the way that I had envisioned. So that's okay. I still made 5 cards. So I'm cutting out the pumpkin from the pumpkin card, and then the pot and the gold from the leprechaun loot. This is the slope that I am going to use for my spooky, like if we're going to be turning the pot of gold into like a little cauldron. And I'm going to put it on that little slope. And then the moon, the full moon, the one that has the die and the stencil, which is the only stencil that we have. This one kind of goes edge to edge, which is really great because you have this huge full moon, which makes for a really interesting card. So here you can see like I'm kind of checking, like, am I going over the edges? And on one side I went over the edge, and on the other side I didn't. So I'll show you how I fixed that too. And then as I'm going along with these, like as I'm die cutting them, I am, there are some that I'm saving the pieces, like for those eyeballs, I did save the pupils inside. I also saved, I'm trying to think, there was something else. Oh, for the ghosts, which we haven't seen yet. We'll get there. So here out of the pumpkin, which this one has like the pumpkin card. I just did a video with that a week or so ago. I'm going to go ahead and cut out the eyes and the mouth underneath my little pot. This for some reason was giving me Princess and the Frog vibes, like how it's based like down in Louisiana and they have like the little voodoo thing. So I did like this little creepy smiley guy underneath the little witch's cauldron. And then here I'm gonna make ghosts, and you're gonna be like, Kelly, how are you making ghosts? Well, I'm making ghosts with the beard of the beard of the springtime gnome and its hat. So the one up top here with those are actually, I think, the arms and the egg. This is what I have turned into the nose and the mouth, but the actual shape of it is the beard. And then this one is the hat upside down. And then once I get those die cut out, I'll go back in with a circle die and cut out the top of the head. And then the tips of the hat will end up looking like the little arms. And then the eyeballs that I cut out of that are from the You Do Not Scare Me, Do Not Scare Me one. And so those ones, those ones, like I just totally made up, because here's the fun thing about silhouettes. It's not the actual die. It is what you can make with them. because the picture that we're creating is actually made with the ink blending in the background. Um, so you don't have to see, like here, I'm messing around with it to see if I could use one of the ghosts in there, and they were just a little bit too big, and so I just wasn't loving it. I'm sure there is a way to make that spooky. I probably just needed a little bit more time to think about it, and I already had 5 cards going on. So if this is something that you guys are like, hey, I never thought of that, this is super, cool and fun. I do have some ideas for how to do it for like the holidays or other general kind of everyday things, not just Halloween. Halloween's just the easiest one. It's just the easiest one because it already lends itself really well to silhouettes because it's supposed to be like a little spooky, you know what I'm saying? So for these eyeballs, I traced them onto my cardstock to make sure that everything was covered. And for this one, I'm going to use kind of all of the colors. I'm going to do a diagonal gradient. So I'm going to go from green to yellow to orange to pink to purple, starting in the top left down into the bottom right. You obviously could, whatever color scheme you're thinking, but I pretty much stuck with those. Well, I would say more traditional Halloween, but I don't think that pink falls into traditional Halloween. But anyway, these were so fun because I got to use my brain a little creatively about how I could really kind of stretch out the use of my dyes. And then I got to do really fun ink blending, which I enjoy doing. It's just I don't want to say mindless because it does take a little bit of effort to get a good blend. But once you have your once you have your routine down, it's pretty seamless to just go and do them and knock out a bunch of cards pretty quickly. So yeah, there is one that you can see with my carved pumpkin, like that is a really juicy ink pad. It is one that I had to replace. I thought I lost it and it was gone forever. And then, of course, I bought a new one, and then the other one showed up. Because that's just the way that life goes. Um, so, and then here is down to the pink. The pink you can see is not as juicy. We are going to refill that ink pad in this video. So if you have those, if you have ink pads that you're like, I have no idea how to refill them, I did leave that part in just for you to see. But with ink blending, and I've said this in all of my videos because I do ink blend quite a bit. In order to get a good blend, you do need to, in my opinion, you need to do it twice because building up those layers of color is what helps it to look really nice and blend pretty seamlessly. So that one, I had no issue with. We were good. And then I did clean up. That's the thing, like in between your areas, you might have seen on that last one, like in some of my purple, it started to get like a little kind of muddy, but that's because I had yellow left on the matte and I had picked that up in there, and they're complementary colors. So for this one, initially, I was thinking that it would kind of be a green to yellow and then maybe fade into white. I didn't love that. So I did end up changing it. And so this is one of the ones where, like the other one, like we just did a super simple ink blend in the background, and that's going to be super cute. This one, we're going to do it more as a silhouette that has a light source. So I'm building up my greens, light, medium, dark. And again, this is when I still thought that I was blending to yellow. So you probably, you don't have to blend on the green as many times as as I did. And so I just wasn't like, I keep checking it and dry fitting that little smile thing. And I was like, no, I don't love it. I need to add some more. I liked that the creepy eyes were like the glowing green at the bottom, but I didn't love the top. So I'm going to take the yellow all the way up to the tippy top. And you guys know that I love the Trinity blending buddies. They put down a lot of color quickly and they blend super well, which is what I'm all about because I love, love, love a lot of saturated color. So I brought in the orange and I kind of went around the edges a little bit. And now I'm going to bring back that lighter green and kind of blend it up some. And you'll see as I go along, like I do dry fit it a couple of times and it just wasn't giving the vibes that I wanted it to give. So now here's where I'm starting to experiment a little bit. I'm bringing my darker green up a little bit higher, seeing if maybe that's going to help give me the glow that I am envisioning. So this is this. So now I'm like this. I'm just gonna have to commit to really putting down some darker color. So I laid everything out how I wanted it because I wanted the light source to be the brightest behind the cauldron. And so I am going from the mustard seed to the carved pumpkin to crackling campfire, and then I'm actually even gonna bring in some black soot around the edges all the way down to the hill. And now, because of that contrast, I'm starting to get the more of that dimension, that brighter glow that I am looking for, because we have to have contrast in order to create a highlight. You do need shadows. So, and don't worry about putting the black soot down because really, once you go over it with your next color, it just becomes like a darker version of that color. It doesn't stay like a true black, it becomes a dark green and a dark orange. So, that is that one. And then the next one that I moved on to is the pumpkin. And so I wanted this one to be more of like a halo, like it would be lightest in the center and then darker out to the edges. Um, you can see here that because I started in the middle of the paper, we do have those kind of splotches. Um, that's something that is really unavoidable unless you're starting off of really, really light ink or you're starting off of the paper. I should have started off of the paper and then I wouldn't have had those splotches, but I didn't. And because of that, this background did get a little bit darker in the center than I had originally intended. I think it still came out okay, so I'm not like mad about it. But I like to, you guys know, I try to be very real with you and share the ins and outs of all of the card making things, and life things, whether they're good or bad. So if I had started off of the paper and brought my yellow in, and then started off of the paper and brought my orange in, and then my pink, I don't think it would have gotten as dark because I was trying to blend out those splotches in the center, which obviously you can see here. I'm really going in there and kind of working it. Now, here is how it is looking. Clearly, it needs to be a little bit darker around the edges. So now I'm putting my ground down. This is the opposite, like we have the hill that the cauldron's sitting on. This is the other piece, like the top of the hill, and I just flipped it upside down to create some ground for my pumpkin. So that way it's not just like floating in the air and it has something to sit on. Here is where again I'm really building up that color in the middle. So then from the same thing, yellow to the orange to the pink. And then with this one, I did bring in a little bit of purple up at like the top edges. I'm not mad about it. I like the way that that part looked, even though I knew I was taking a risk, like putting it that close to the orange. But it gives a very rich kind of sunset feel, which I think would be really great for some scene cards. So that's one of the nice things about like like sessions like this, that like where we're just playing. Sometimes it can help us stumble onto other color combinations or other things that we can apply in different areas of our card making, that we're like, hey, I didn't even know that was a thing, and that works so well. So here, again, I'm just double checking that because I have to have the pumpkin down far enough that the whole thing will fit, including the stem. So I got that situated. And then here, this is where I'm going to redo my ink pad. So basically, I'm just using the pipette that comes with it. I'm picking up the ink and then I am dropping it kind of crisscross. So I go down vertically left to right, and then I take the same thing and go and go, yeah, I just basically do the same thing up and down. And then you saw how it like was there and then it was gone. It's because I let it sit so that it could soak in. Well, I went downstairs and made a cup of coffee. And then by the time I came back in, it was already soaked in, which tells you how dry my ink pad was to begin with. So basically, when I redo mine, I typically do them all at the same time, so then that way I can see how they are soaking it in, because if they soak it up really really fast, then I knew that I need to put down some more ink, that it might, it might be super dry and need some more. And then if it sits on the surface for a little while longer, it probably didn't need that much ink. So just something to keep in mind when you're re-inking your ink pads. This one, we did a gradient from the picked raspberry, wilted violet, villainous potion to the black soot. And this is going to be for our little ghosts. So you can do it either way. You can do dark from the top down to the bottom, or dark from the bottom up to light at the top, which is how I ended up doing mine. So my bottom ghost is more purple and my top ghost is more pink. But here you can see how like splotchy this is and everything else. And then as we're adding in the color, it really starts to meld and, kind of do work together. But you have to go over each of the colors. So like here, when I'm putting down the wilted violet, I'm going back over part of the area for the villainous potion to help lay it down. And then when I'm bringing in the picked raspberry, because that's a completely different color family, I am bringing it down into the wilted violet all the way into the villainous potion, because this pink is going to help make more of like a seedless preserves color, which is going to be like, it's just going to help it to be more vibrant, which is what I was wanting. So here are my little ghosts. Check those. I'm happy with that. And then we're on to the full moon card. So I did this because I needed there to be enough color for for it to be worth my while. So I kind of did it like a blood moon, where it's pretty dark. But since my piece didn't cut all the way through, I am just marking where those sections are going to be. So when I'm doing my ink blending, I know. And so here, see, this time I was smart enough to start off of my paper so I don't have that splotch. But don't worry, I don't learn my lesson and I'm going to do it again. So here, again, I'm starting off the paper. We have no splotches. I get impatient and then I start bringing it directly to the paper. And when I do I think it's the fossilized amber, I give myself a nice little splotch, because I'm just being impatient. Like, that's just the truth of it. So make sure, like, do as I say, not as I do. Have patience with yourself. So this one is, I'm laying down some color kind of in the bottom right hand corner, because this is the only one that has a stencil. So as I'm going back through and building up the color here, you're going to see I took it. See, I took it right to the paper instead of coming in off the edge. And there's my big, beautiful splotch. That's sarcasm. It's not beautiful. I wish it wasn't there, but that's okay. Because this is the only one that uses a stencil, I am able to fix it with the stenciling. So here is the like the texture that we're going to put on the moon. So I was able to position it in a way that the area that's going to have more color added to it is where the splotch is. So that gives me a better chance of being able to cover it up. Also, something to note, see where I just pointed, it's the colors going over on the outside of the stencil. I don't have to worry about it because I am making silhouette cards, so that will be covered in black. But if you are doing this where you are just doing the moon, and you're not going to be covering it up with the black around it, make sure that you mask that off, just so you're not disappointed that you've gotten a color on the other side of your card. So now, as I'm doing the texture, I'm building up those same colors, but I am making them a little bit darker. This is kind of hard to see right now, because we don't have the black to create that circle. but this is the only one that my silhouette is not a die. My silhouette is the stencil. They do have dies for this, so you can do it, but I honestly, with what I was doing, I really felt like there was no need. I got my black soot. You can see how much color that these little blending buddies pick up, because I'm able to go right in there and get a really, really solid black with a distress ink. And here's my little witch that's just flying by. And I'm going to do a couple of bats. Again, you can see where I am like masking off so I don't get the black where I don't want it. And I am cleaning the stencil in between the uses. For like the witch and things. This one I was doing the bat the same color. See, I almost forgot to mask it. And then I would have been sad. But so like for this one I did clean off the big bat so that I could go in and do the little bat, so that way I'm not, streaking color all across it. So here's this one. Super happy with the way that this one came out. I am going to take my scissors and trim off like the little finest bits of the circle, because I don't need them and they're going to be a pain to adhere. So that is the card. I originally started messing around with picking out sentiments, and I had the Simply Sentimental Halloween picked out and some other ones. And honestly, I was really struggling with how I liked them with my layouts. So I chose not to put sentiments on any of my cards today. I am going to put shimmer on them though. So here I'm going to do just a little bit of water because we are working with distress inks. These will react with water and give us some nice little spots. And then I am using Perfect Pearls mixed with a little bit of water to add some shimmer. This is something I like to do with a lot of my ink blending. The only thing I would do differently truly is I would cover my witch, maybe not my bats, but definitely my witch. I would cover her so that she stayed that solid black, because she is also inked with distress ink. I did get one little spot on her hat where I just got the drop just right and it made that black ink bleed a little bit. So I wish that I would have masked that off. Now, if you're asking, Kelly, how would you mask that off? I told you the stencil does have dies with it. I would have just cut a die cut and placed it over top of her. So, here I'm doing just gluing. I did no popping up on any of these. I just glued them down flat. And then I just have them. I have really super cute little cards. And when I am ready to use them or not, I can just put my sentiments on. So for my little ghost, this is one of the ones that we did keep an area of the that we have cut out for their eyes and their mouth. So I'm going to put this down and create my little ghost. My son said the one on the top looks like a little fireball. And I was like, well, it's a beard. And he was like, huh, never would have thought that. And so I'm picking out the little eyeballs and the little mouths. And then I'm going to glue those down just flat, same thing as before. And I like them. I think they're super cute. I think that they are a different kind of ghosts. I do want to say I've obviously linked everything below, but if you're like, hey, I really am like, I think this is super cool, but I don't have any Halloween faces. That Eerie Eyes is a good one. It gives you just the eyeballs. But then also there's one in the Trinity has a last chance clearance section, and you can't see the price until you put it in your cart. So I did. So I could tell you, but they have one that's like a pumpkin head, which has a lot of different eyes and stuff in it. And a skeleton also that's in their clearance section. And you can get that die, that standalone die for $8. Which is, I mean, that's pretty cheap for a die. So anyway, just something to note. Like I said, I'm linking everything below. And then, so for this one, I got that little bit of ground, and then we'll put our pumpkin on that. This is kind of like a little fun one, that isn't like creepy, spooky, you could give to your littles. You could also, put some vellum behind those eyes and a little light and make them a little light up card. That would be cute. So this one is that the one we created the cauldron for, and put our little spooky face in the hills. The hills have eyes. That was a movie. You know, isn't it funny how, like, as we get older, I don't know about you guys, but, like, I used to watch scary movies when I was a younger, like, well, I guess I probably stopped watching them, like, in my 20s. Because at some point I was like, well, I don't enjoy this. Why am I watching it? Why am I trying to scare myself and make me not be able to sleep? Why am I doing that? Like, I know my vivid imagination. I should not be a person who watches spooky movies. I do like thrillers, though, and I like psychological thrillers. So here is the last one, the little eyeballs, and this is the other one that we need to keep the pieces parts for. So I have ordered all of the Halloween things that I need for my daughter and I. Um, the I told you guys before, but in case you didn't know, she wants to go from K-pop Demon Hunters. She wants to be Rumi because Rumi has purple hair. But like they have like little wigs for for toddlers, but I was like, she is not going to wear this all night long. So instead, I got like long synthetic purple hair that I could braid into her hair, and then I got the like purple spray to spray her hair purple. So what I did was I put the eyeballs back in just so I could put the glue like dot where the pupil needed to go, and then I used just a pickup tool to put that in. But yeah, so I got my stuff and her stuff. For my stuff, because that girl has pink hair, like I bought a wig, but I'll wear it, so it's not a big deal. Oh, speaking of my little one, here she is. She wanted to help me show the cards in their entirety. And when she look at how fast she's going, I was like, whoa, 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 girl. And then she got to the last one and she was like, wait, where do I put it? Mom, where do I put it? So anyway, I hope that you like these silhouettes. I think that they were really successful. Please let me know if you would like to see more of these in a different theme. Thank you guys so much for joining me. I always appreciate your time, and I will catch you on the next video. Bye.